The IRS reports that 7.5 million people were penalized for not having health insurance just in the first year of the individual mandate. And that primarily affects low and middle income families. The idea of an individual mandate was actually championed by Republicans in the 1990s, but passed into law by Democrats under the Affordable Care Act. And when conservatives challenged the individual mandate before the Supreme Court, it was upheld by a single shocking vote, that of conservative Chief Justice John Roberts. How can this policy be championed by the left and the right? And who are the winners and losers under the individual mandate? Now, most countries require everyone to pay into the healthcare system, usually through a progressive tax scheme. But what makes the individual mandate truly unique is that it requires everyone to pay a healthcare premium, which is a relatively fixed dollar amount regardless of what you make. Imagine if the federal income tax were replaced with a fixed dollar fee for everyone. We'd be paying almost $6,000 per person. Now that would be crippling for low-income people, but it would amount to nothing for people who are earning millions or billions of dollars a year. This is called a poll tax, the most regressive type of tax, and the individual mandate works a lot like a poll tax. Now, there's a reason that poll taxes are so rare today. They attempt to finance essential services by squeezing resources out of working-class families. And for this reason, when governments impose a poll tax, revolution follows. When you say poll tax in the United States, most people think of the Jim Crow law that was used to disenfranchise black residents by charging a fee for voter registration. This was a key target of the civil rights movement, and after a difficult and bloody struggle, the poll tax was abolished by the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Margaret Thatcher committed political suicide in the United Kingdom when she replaced property taxes, which were based on the value of your homes, with a fixed poll tax on every resident to fund local government. Just like the individual mandate, Thatcher created subsidies for low-income people, but that didn't hide the massive shift of tax burden from the wealthy onto the working class. The anti-poll tax movement put hundreds of thousands of protesters into the streets, including the London poll tax riots, and Thatcher was driven from office. The poll tax was repealed by her own Conservative Party a couple of years later. So is the individual mandate a tax? The Supreme Court seems to think so. 5 justices found that the individual mandate was constitutional based on the government's powers of taxation. But the individual mandate is arguably worse than a poll tax, because the amount of the tax is not set by government. The premium you pay is set by a private health insurance company. And unlike a public tax, insurers are allowed to discriminate based on age, geography, and other distinctions. So the individual mandate is a truly new development, government delegating powers of taxation to private corporations. Many support the mandate because it embodies either the conservative principle of personal responsibility or the liberal principle of social responsibility. But the mandate relies on a financing mechanism so regressive that it places the entire burden of our broken healthcare system on the backs of working class people. We do need a healthcare system where everybody pays in, but the payments must be equitable and based on what you earn. There is a healthcare reform that combines personal responsibility and equitable financing, but it doesn't involve an individual mandate. It's called single-payer healthcare. Everybody in, nobody out.